sparing the time for Auto Components India and Commercial Vehicle Magazine, and it's been, I think, more than once in the last 2 days, so I really appreciate you for giving the time. Let's begin with Auto Mechanica as a forum. 20th edition, it's been going a notch higher from each preceding edition. So tell us what really stood out for you in this edition, and how was the customer footfall at the Nippon booth?
Yeah, so thanks Ashish. Auto Mechanica I visited last year as well.
Right.
Okay, 2022, and this time we have participated in 2023 Auto Mechanica, and the responses which we are getting is phenomenal.
Right.
The footfalls, if I compare it from last year when I visited, so it's far better. The participation from the corporate companies or the companies from exports or the local ones are much more higher than this time. I mean, this is better one, and the clientele which we are getting into our booths, I mean, they are from different parts of the globe. I mean, people coming from Europe, from Spain, from different countries of Middle East. So we are getting good response. People are actually spending time on the Nippon booth.
Right, right. You flew in directly into a sea of customers.
Yeah,
what was your first look, and could you sense a palpable excitement in the air when it comes to your UAE customers?
Absolutely. I mean, I've been to Auto Mechanicas before, but the buzz that we had here yesterday when we just arrived, when I arrived, it was just out of the world. I mean, I was not expecting this. Because particularly there's a lot of talk about how the Middle Eastern market is a little down, there's a slump in the economy. But if you were there yesterday, you wouldn't experience that. You would feel that everything is very upbeat and things are really hunky-dory. So from our perspective, it is a very good platform, and we hope that we can get a lot of new inquiries and new business opportunities through this event.
Right. So is this a very positive sign for the paint and coating segment in this particular market?
I would think so. I think anybody who has good products to offer, good solutions to offer, will always have a market. And Auto Mechanica, we saw a lot of new initiatives, a lot of new products being brought in, not only by us, but a lot of other paint companies as well. So I think it augurs well for the economy and for the market.
Right. How would you quantify the aftermarket opportunity in India vis-a-vis the aftermarket opportunity in the Middle East?
I think market opportunity-wise, India is a little bigger and better, but the Middle East is not small as well. I think Alpansh can tell you a little bit more about what he thought Middle East was and what it's turned out to be. But I think it's a sizable opportunity. Alpansh?
Let's start with that interesting story where you came in the pandemic March fiscal and had to do a lot of groundwork. You start from, as you said earlier, start from a negative to build a positive. Let's revisit that and tell us where are you right now.
So I've been shifted here I think May 21, which was the Delta wave period, and I came with one suitcase in my hand, and the plan was actually to look at the market, go back to India, then come back after maybe a month with all the strategies and handover. But Mr. Sharad suggested, Alpansh, you should be ready if you may not come back. And it happened actually. The flight got blocked for 6 months time, and I'm here from April to September. I didn't able to travel.
On one suitcase.
So the point was when I came here, so the whole idea was only we have the experience in our hands, we have the technical backbone in our hands, innovations we have, and the experience what we have learned in the Indian market. So here also, if I talk about the markets are run by mainly the expats, the Indians, Pakistanis, Sri Lankans, Bangladeshis. So business doing in here, the understanding the dynamics, that was a challenge initially, but it doesn't take much time for us. In next 3-4 months time, in 21, we have been able to gather that, we have been able to get the right strategies on the ground, and we have been able to do some channel connect in just 6 months time. So when I've been to India in October, so I was having a huge confidence in me, okay, that's what we have done, and that's the right roadmap what we are setting for the next 5 years.
Right. So on a lighter note, you were saying that the customer profile is pretty much the same because you're looking at Indians managing the show over here as well.
Yes.
And that means hard negotiation.
Yeah, that's true.
But the Indian diaspora has been phenomenal. And in fact, we are always looking at the diaspora to become a strong community for us.
Right.
So whether it's Dubai or whether it is any part of the world, we find a lot of Indians.
Right.
And in our business, whether it's in Africa as well, Africa, we were in Kenya. I was in Kenya a couple of months back. I was mostly meeting people from Gujarat.
Okay.
So it's fantastic what this gives us as a connect into the market. And being a business, a Japanese company, but an automotive refinish aftermarket business, which is headquartered from India, we are certainly open to the idea of leveraging this huge diaspora that we have,
Right.
and using that to connect to the market in an effective way, like Alpansh is doing in the Middle East.
Right. Now, your global aspirations are pretty evident. You've just come on the back of some recent launches with the NMAX tinting solutions from the Sri Lankan market, for example. In your case, because you are setting up a base here in UAE as well, so I would like to take a two-pronged approach when I talk global. One is global out of India, the other is global out of the UAE market. How do you blend the two? How do you leverage the two?
Well, UAE is a subsidiary of India, so it's essentially one strategy that we follow, and UAE and India working in sync to achieve our objectives.
Right.
So, for example, for a lot of the customers of Middle East, our company in the Middle East, India serves as a supply chain partner to Alpansh.
Right.
But in the future, once we have manufacturing here, we would use the Middle East manufacturing to further our aspirations into, say, Africa or Europe or Central Asia.
Right.
So it's one strategy, it's one company, and we work in that spirit, and we try to ensure that the whole business is getting lifted up.
Right.
Not
right.
just India.
So
Not just
there would be equal focus and direct accountability from the supply side as well as the demand side initiatives. That's
Yes.
A fair
Exactly.
assumption then.
Exactly.
Right. Now we are in the fiscal FY23. So let's talk about this year, YTD 23. How have you performed? It's been a recovery-led growth for pretty much the entire community. And how do you see the rest of the fiscal going?
So last year was a lot of recovery-led growth.
Right. Right.
I would say in India we had a huge growth last year,
Right.
which was mostly the pent-up demand and the economy bouncing back to the same level.
Right. Right.
So this year is not.
It's building on the momentum.
It's now building on the momentum and trying to grow organically on a higher base, right?
Right.
So the business is looking good. Last year we did reasonably well, close to 500 crores in the business that I look after,
Right.
which is the automotive aftermarket, the wood coatings and the
Sure.
light industrial coatings, including the CV.
Right.
This year we expect to grow at around 21% as well. So we hope that in the next 3 years we can double up this business
Right.
in India.
Right.
And in the Middle East as well, Alpansh will tell you about his growth story. I think it's phenomenal.
Right. He's accurate.
So in Middle East, I mean, it's not about the percentages when we came here because it's a whole battleground which is open for us. So we have never planned in our growth like 20% or 100% or 50%. So we have done the strategy on the times, number of times we have to grow the business. So
Right.
in 22 we have decided to grow, and we have grown around by 4 times of the 21 business in 22, and in 23 also we are on the side of 2 times of the business.
Right.
So that's the way
So
we are.
your inner ambition or the ambition of the company is to try and replicate the goods that you delivered in India and try to get this up to that scale.
Yes.
As a first phase.
Yes, that's the whole idea is keep whatever business what we are doing in India, can I replicate it here? That's the first milestone what we are planning to
Right.
by 2025.
Right. Right.
Yes.
Tell us about the operating margins and what are the pressures like? Have they eased?
I think operating margins have eased. Alpansh, for example, had huge logistics costs when he started because during the COVID pandemic, the supply chains had got disrupted.
Right.
So the logistics costs have gone up. The selling prices were not very high.
Right.
So to that extent, I think things have become a little easier.
Okay.
So today we I wouldn't say we are where we want to be, but we are definitely better off, and we are making decent, very nominal but still satisfying margins.
How much of that would you attribute to, say, an inevitable pass-through to the customer also? In terms
So
of,
as a company, we ensure that whatever benefits we have, we try to pass through to our customers, whether in Middle East or in India or any part of the world.
Right.
We are long-term players. Nobody can be long-term in this market. It's a very competitive market unless you're very fair with your customers.
Right.
So pricing has to be always very fair, very transparent, very competitive.
Right, right. A word on the growing industrial hubs and automotive hubs geographically in the UAE region that look very, very promising for the business.
Yes, so there are sectors like anyways automotive aftermarket. So there's sectors like Sharjah anyways the hub or
Right.
from the ages.
Right.
But now the other areas are also picking up. Like in Dubai, there one sector is Alpansh, so that's coming up with a huge garage setups, the B-class independent body shop setups.
Right.
The number of dealers are also increasing in that area. In industrial hubs, if I talk about like Jabal Ali, so that's a new areas which are coming up, like DAP. So these are the new zones which are coming up, and with the huge construction demand, which is now after pandemic has also increased in UAE,
Right.
especially about UAE. So the industries like scaffolding, pipes and tubes, drums, concrete, all these are getting a good growth sectors for us also. So it's a good potential areas for us as well, like the
Right.
automotive aftermarket and the industrial. So we are set to
Right.
achieve those.
Now we've often discussed, how the two markets are parallel or similar in terms of an infra-led growth economy. Where does the buck stop in UAE? What sets the UAE market a little apart? And maybe what kind of cross-pollination is required for the two markets to leverage experiences from one another and maybe look at a collaborated effort for the aftermarket industry?
I think the infrastructure development in UAE has been breathtaking,
Right.
as we all know.
Right.
And I think there's a lot to learn from there. But I think the Indian government is doing a phenomenal job as well.
Right.
The infrastructure development we see now is definitely something which was long, awaited.
Right.
And today I think there's a lot that is happening in India which I think many markets in the world need to also learn from.
Right.
So we are looking at the infrastructure development being a very strong catalyst for growth
Right.
in India. We're focusing on a lot of sectors which we were not focusing earlier. For example, trains.
Right.
Trains was never a focus area for us because it was not a very large market, and they were using products that were very, very low quality and not very.
It was more a frugal way of doing
very
it.
frugal way. But
Yeah.
now with Vande Bharat trains, with other things happening, it's a lot more, high quality paints, good stuff which is being used,
Right.
which is also getting all the companies like Nippon being interested in the railways.
Right, right. So, how much of contribution has been from the railways as of now? Is it in the pipeline, or you've executed some?
So we're just getting our act right for railways. It's
Okay.
a very, very. I wouldn't say the products are completely different, but there's a certain amount of R&D required to develop those products, which we're doing.
Right.
We're getting into the railways now, and hopefully in the next 1 year or 2 years, we hope that we can make a significant headway into the railways in India.
Right, right.
Both in the OEM and the aftermarket.
Okay, okay. But there will be a definite overlap between what you're doing for the pure automotive vis-a-vis the railways.
Yes, there's a lot of overlap. There's a lot of cross-pollination.
Right.
There's a lot of product synergies.
Right.
So the products are not entirely different. The products which get used on a bus, for example,
Right.
are quite similar to the products that get used on railway coaches.
Right, right. But just the volumes would be higher, obviously. Per unit volumes would be
And the
far
buyer
higher.
is going to be the central government.
Yeah, so that's
a very
going to be-
different world. Whereas in the bus sector, it's either the state transport or the private
Right,
buyers.
right, right.
So first time we would be actually dealing with the central government.
Okay, so that's a learning curve there.
I think also a great experience. I
Right.
think the kind of transparency that we see in central government procurement now, it's again something which is very inspiring, I would say.
Right, right. You all had a fantastic display yesterday where you all showcased some of the key brands. Tell us about the prospects of these brands we are in connection with the segment that they are targeted at.
Yes, so yesterday we have displayed our technological front as well and the innovative front as
Right.
well on the digital side as well.
Right.
So on the product side, for example, these countries, I mean the Middle East whole market, they are more environmental conscious and all those things. So they were using waterborne products from long.
Right.
And in India especially, I mean we are not selling much waterborne because India is still, I mean other road, but yes,
It's coming up.
Middle is coming up.
Right.
It's here we are planning to launch our waterborne as well. So we have displayed. I mean we have figured that out, and we 24 will be coming up with waterborne products as well. Plus the non-paint range, which we have a good experience in India. So we have taken up here, and we have showcased our non-paint range as well. Because there are many paint companies who are selling paints.